thoughts?
Certainly. Congratulations to Louis and Blair. Well deserved. They've both really had excellent seasons, and so they've contributed to the success of this program this season, and for Blair for a few seasons now. So it's a great job by those guys. The game I thought was what we expected. It would be a physical football game and hard fought. I thought our team approached it in a good manner, playing 10 straight games. They were very businesslike, and I thought functioned very well along those lines. Pleased certainly with the win. This week's game will be another road test for us. Central's a very good football team, very athletic. So it'll be an interesting matchup in that regard.
You had a chance to go unbeaten on the road in conference play. What has it been about this group this year? And you even mentioned this a couple weeks ago. You felt good with these guys going on the road.
Mm-hmm.
What kinds of things go into that feeling?
Well, I think having good leadership and guys that prepare well for each ball game. They have not been a group that looks down the road and takes their eye off the immediate goal. Obviously, the immediate goal is your next game, and they've been very focused on that game after game. And so they travel well. They don't let the little things bother them that sometimes on road trips you can run across. And so we're Central I think is a tough place to play. It always has been. And so it'll be an exceptional challenge in that regard. You look at the number of points they have scored, certainly earlier in the seasons against some real quality opponents, indicates how they're capable of playing, and I'm sure they'll be ready to go.
Coach, is there an update on Greg Wendell?
He's coming along at a good pace.
Coach, what does this bye week look like for you, just in the way of keeping guys sharp, making sure everybody's still, keeping in that rhythm, but also making sure the guys get their rest?
Yeah, we'll function today like a typical Monday. It'll be somewhat of a lighter workout. The next 2 days, next day will be a padded day, and then we will have off from practice on Wednesday, and then start a traditional game week from that point on. That'll lead us up to the game. So I think it's the right amount of work for him and the right amount of time off. I've said a couple times now that going through that kind of a schedule without a break is tough on your football team. I think Akron, if I'm not mistaken, got one more game to go, and I know that they've been hit a little bit with injuries. It's just tough to go through that many games without having not only guys that are going to miss some weeks, but having guys that are playing banged up. So you got to make sure you use the off week well in terms of recuperating and yet not losing momentum.
Also, Dorian Brown is kind of limited against the Buffalo game. But do you see being able to use him and Malik in the game against Central?
I believe they'll both be ready to go, but we will see on that. Right now neither one is 100%, although I think Malik is closer.
Coach, obviously, Blair Brown just made MAC East Player of the Week, but how important has he been this season just in the way of stopping the run? Because it seems like whenever he's out of the game, teams can run the ball a little easier as opposed to when he's in the game.
Yeah. Well, he's a high-energy guy, and usually that rubs off on the other players. And so all three linebackers are that way. They are exceptional guys in terms of playing hard from play one to the very end. And and they play with a lot of emotion, and you know, he's a guy that you get used to seeing him make plays. You know, not only is he physical at the point of attack, but he can run things down. You can use him on drops, you can use him in blitzes, and he's very, very effective in all of that. And so, in that regard, he's a complete player.
You guys are all about one game at a time, but the next one game can clinch you the MAC East title. Do you, I don't know, try to dial back, or you know, how do you handle that when the next game is obviously the most important game in terms of your season goals?
Well, you know, we kind of look at every game as being vitally important, and I think that's one thing about going game by game, but building that particular game up, because that game becomes big if you don't win it. You know, it becomes obviously important if you don't win it to your overall record or to your conference record, and so they're all critical games, and that's what makes this profession hard on you. You know, there's never a break, especially in the MAC conference, and so you know, we won't have to dial our players up or I think lower their energy, or not energy, but lower their thoughts in terms of just flying off and be thinking of things that aren't there for them yet. You know, now winning this game will clinch it. That's great. There's a lot of reasons to win the game, and we'll play for all those reasons.
Also, you mentioned Central being a tough place to play. Like, what kind of things make it kind of like tough to play at?
I don't know. We've just found it to be tough. I think other teams have generally found it to be tough. They're a very good home football team, and not saying that they're not good on the road, because they obviously, their program is getting to where it's moving to a very high level, and it is at a high level, and so you know, last year we played there. This will be the second year in a row we played there. Last year it didn't turn out so well. For whatever reason, you know, we did not play one of our better games, and we needed to make it a game, and we didn't get that done. So that in itself makes it tough. We've got to prove that we can go in there and play well.
Coach, earlier in the season, these sorts of press conferences, you put a lot of emphasis on your team didn't play a complete game, maybe flashes here and there. 2 straight weeks now, it looks like your team has played a complete game. Would you agree that you guys have played 2 straight complete games?
Close to it. You know, we've gotten more done in the last 2 games than we have in some previous games, and I think that's where you want to be. That's how you want it to work. You want to keep moving forward, and I think our guys are in that manner. You know, if you look at what they've been all about in making up the entire season so far, you gotta like what they've been about. You know, could we have done a few things different and gotten some games that we feel were a little more complete games early in the middle of the year? Yeah, but they played at a level that allowed them to get to where they're at, and they've played very hard every game and showed flashes of what they can be. And it's difficult to get a football team to play great in all 3 levels, but you know, we're inching towards being better, and so we just got to keep doing that. I think special teams this year has really stepped up and has been a key for us. You look at the number of times we've won the field position and won it by a substantial margin. It's been critical. This game we won all 3 of 3 very important categories. That when I talk to the team, those are the first things I talk about is field position, turnovers, sacks, and we won all 3 in this game, pretty substantial. And so that's exactly what we want to keep doing. There's other phases of the game. You know, we seem to the last 2 games found a way to get some explosive plays, and that has been a big help to us. I think, 7 or so in the last couple games and over 30 yards, and so that's pretty important to the overall process of putting points on the board. And there are other things that we talk about and cover, but you got to win your fair share of those kind of things in order to be a really good football team. Special teams, we've been doing that in special teams. I think Michael has done a great job of placing the ball, and not only inside the 20, but inside the 10, and causing people to have to go the entire length, close to the entire length of the field. We haven't had that many returns against us. Combination of Michael's ability to get balls up in the air, hang time, and our ability to cover. Kickoff returns seem to be getting better, kickoff coverage has remained pretty much intact in terms of being a good cover team throughout the course of the season. Field goals have been good. Michael ended up answering our problems on kickoff, and that has been huge in terms of hang time on kickoffs and placement of the ball on kickoff coverage. I mean, just so many little things like that add up to really being a good football team or not. And, a lot of those things have come together this year a little more than what they have some of the, I don't know if you'd call them hidden statistics, but statistics that maybe just don't jump out at you.
What makes Cooper Rush a good college quarterback?
I think he's a smart quarterback. It's clear that he studies the game. I mean, he makes good choices in his throws. He's not putting the ball up for grabs, and he's a very accurate thrower. He's composed in the pocket. You don't see him flushing out of there when it's unnecessary. So he's got a lot of attributes of what you really need to be a great quarterback, and he's shown that now for a few years here in the MAC.
Coach, you said Wednesday going to be a day off, and then you're going to start game week. These next 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, are there any things that maybe you're going to go over that you wouldn't go over in a regular game week?
Well, we'll be pretty general in what we're doing these first few days. We've looked at some film, but we'll continue to look at film. Excuse me, and it gives us a few extra days to zero in on a game plan on both sides of the ball and in special teams. But we don't have anything finalized to where, man, this is it. This is the game plan, and we're gonna run these plays 1,000 times. We're still piecing the game plan together, but we're running our overall, our general offense and defensive schemes, and we'll add to those as we zero in on these guys a little bit more. And getting them to where they're moving around again, conditioning again, and getting ready to play a football game again.
This is slated to be Maxwell's 4th straight start. What kinds of things have you seen from week 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, and now hopefully 3 to 4 with Quinn?
Mm-hmm. I think he's getting a little more accurate on some throws. He hit a few deep throws here in this last ball game, which were critical, that kind of give us a little bit of separation there. Timing was good on completing those. He's continuing to study the game to where his reads, I think, are coming a little bit easier for him and a little bit more automatic for him maybe, and I think that's showing a little bit in his accuracy too. He continues to show his ability to scramble. Made a first down or two on really critical times, and he's big, strong, so all that adds to his favor in terms of being able to stand in a pocket and see receivers and pick them out, throw, and ability to scramble. He's also shown the ability to throw on the run pretty well.
Coach, how important has Coach Dixon been this season, just in the development with the younger receivers and, helping take Jordan Reed to that next level, hopefully for him for the pro level?
Well, he's done a really good job with our players from day one, and he's very huge on fundamentals and always out there coaching. Never stops coaching on the field. So that's what generally young receivers need, and he certainly knows the techniques needed to be a great receiver. His drills, his way of wording things out there to him, I think are big in terms of them being able to develop as a receiver in a quick manner.
He's one of the more vocal guys, obviously, on the field, and he keeps things lighthearted. Is that important as you kind of get into the home stretch of the season?
Yeah, obviously you never want to tighten up, and it's. I don't think our staff is a staff that, we've been through a lot over the years. We generally aren't going to tighten up in a situation of this magnitude or any other situation. I think we understand what players are all about, and you can only demand so much of them. You can only beat them to where you're drilling things, trying to drill things into them, and you've got to make sure that they are having some fun with it. And this group is very easy in that regard. They look for ways to have fun, and they show that they love the game, but they also enjoy the parts of the game where you can have some fun with it.